Oh, hello, do come in. Do come in and have a seat. I'm coughing rather. I think I've got a bit of a cold or a flu, which is rather unfortunate because I'm about to fly to America tomorrow, but I'm just going to have to brave through it, I think. Anyway, nice that you managed to catch me just before I go. I'm having a moment's quiet. I've nearly but not quite packed, and I found all the right travel documents. So I'm having a quiet moment and a little glass. And I was thinking, having this blessed glass, as it were, it's very nice old claret, it just put me in mind of a phrase in a poem by George Herbert. And the phrase is, having a glass of blessing standing by, which in a sense I have. But Herbert uses it in a much more interesting way. So George Herbert died in 1633 at the age of 42. Brilliant, gifted poet, friend of John Donne's, known as one of the metaphysical poets, which sounds a bit daunting, but really all it meant was that they were very good at making really original, fresh comparisons, not using standard sort of cliched poetic tropes, but using, I don't know, in case of John Donne, a pair of compasses, or in the case of this poem, although he calls the poem the Pulley, there's no pulley in it. It's somebody pouring out into a vessel more and more of the good stuff, and then keeping a little something back, and that's the metaphor. It's called the Pulley, and it's very direct, and I think very beautifully written. He's got his own particular poetic form there that he's made up for it. So it's little 5-line stanzas with a shorter final line and a shorter opening line. This is the Everyman edition of the complete works. I really recommend Everyman editions if you can find them. They're good, solid, lasting, hardback books. You can often buy them secondhand, and they usually, as in this case, have very good notes just to help you out. Anyway, The Pulley, it's a favourite poem of mine. And it's a rather teasing title because there's no pulley in the poem. But the poem is about achieving the effect of a pulley. So, when God at first made man, having a glass of blessings standing by, let us, said he, pour on him all we can. Let the world's riches, which dispersed lie, contract into a span. So, strength first made a way, then beauty flowed, then wisdom, honour, pleasure. When almost all was out, God made a stay, perceiving that alone of all his treasure, rest in the bottom lay. For if I should, said he, bestow this jewel also upon my creature, he would adore his gifts instead of me, and rest in nature, not the God of nature. So both should losers be. Yet let him keep the rest, but keep them with repining restlessness. Let him be rich and weary, that at least, if goodness lead him not, yet weariness may toss him to my breast. Just so good, the end of that. God's huge generosity, giving us all these things, beauty and strength and wisdom and honour and pleasure, and then saying, oh, yeah, complete contentment. Sorry, you're not. And I love that idea that God's given us enough goodness in the world for goodness to lead us to him. But he knows what we're like. He knows whereof we're made. So if goodness lead him not, yet weariness may toss him to my breast. And you can think of so many people, I mean, to some degree it's been true of me, but you can think of who have been given all the blessings of this world and precisely through that just realise they're not satisfied. You know, it's like you two singing, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. That's all there in this George Herbert poem. And all the sophistications and pleasures of the world don't add up to something in the end. There's a yearning, you know. It's, of course, George Herbert would have known St. Augustine's comment in the Confessions, you have made us for yourself, and our hearts are restless until they find their rest in thee. And of course, there's a very nice pun. Yet let him keep the rest. yet keep them with repining restlessness. So the other sense of rest, the rest of what I've given him, he can have that, but with repining restlessness. Really simple. But I particularly like, if goodness lead him not, yet weariness may toss him to my breast. I'm actually pretty weary and not feeling particularly healthy at the moment. And even weariness can at least incline me, if not to be thrown upwards towards the breast of God, but to recline on it as he comes to meet me here. Anyway, I think it's a very fine little poem of Herbert's, and I'm glad to share it to you before I take wing to, I believe, Holland, Michigan tomorrow. Anyway, every blessing.